Hi, I'm the method actor speak, John Solari. I'm not the method actor speaks, I'm just John Solari. But today I asked Sharon Farrell to come back because we've been very fortunate. She's been very fortunate, not me.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to hold up the book and we can see. And you just told us it came out on Amazon.
Last night.
Last
it was
night.
amazing. It was amazing because I'm sitting there and the day before we were like, there's all kinds of, this is a proof copy. This is not the real book. This is the proof. And in the back, there's all kinds of mistakes. I mean, there's capitalizations that shouldn't be capitalized, and there's italics that shouldn't be there and should be there, and all kinds of mistakes, okay? So, I mean, just to correct the cover, to correct this cover, was like 3 hours. It was just, and I thought, oh, we got to go through this whole thing again. We got to get another proof, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. And Jesse just said, no. He said, I'm gonna. It's fine the way it is.
Now Jesse DeYoung, he put it together for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I sat and I just really, I was so angry when I started writing it, and I just wrote, and then. And I was like, when I got back from Fiji, I was just so damaged, and I was just such a mess and everything. And so it was like a catharsis for me. It was like really therapy for me to just get it all out and write it. It's like everybody's got a book in them. Everybody in the whole world's got a book in them. But, for somebody to put the timeline, when did you do this? What day did you do this on? And what show were you shooting when you did that?
That's it. You said everybody has a book in them.
Yeah.
But what makes your book that people want to read or should read?
Well, I died 3 times. I shouldn't even be here. When I was 14, I had an embolism in my heart. I didn't have the embolism when I was 14. My appendix burst when I was 14. And I was in intensive care for three weeks, and my parents had decided that they were going to have 2 more kids,
right.
Which used to really screw me up because for a long time I thought they didn't love me. They were already, I wasn't even dead, and they were planning on another family. But I was sitting in a psychiatrist's office one day, and he said, well, they were going to have 2 more kids, so I guess, you shouldn't look at it that way, So, it's like, how kids are with their parents, it's like everything your parents do, you just hate them forever until you get to be about 60 years old, and then you realize, what parents have to go through with their children and raising them and taking care of them, and then that whole thing comes in, who's born and who isn't born, and it's like, you think you say, oh, I love you so much, we're gonna have a baby together, and it's like God, it's a trick. It's a hormonal trick. He just tricks you, and he brings in this little person that enters your life that's from another planet.
I'm looking at this photo. Who is this?
Oh, that's Peter O'Toole.
I was going to say, it looks like almost, a lot of people used to say to me.
Yeah, it looks like you, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say that. People used to say to me.
So he was so drunk there, I cannot tell you. And this was his little girlfriend. She was 18 years old, and he was putting her through college. And we would all sit in his dressing room, and we'd write sonnets back and forth to each other.
And it's funny because I just opened it up, and I wanted to talk about Peter O'Toole.
You opened it right up to that page.
To Peter O'Toole. I looked like it almost looked like me. When you can't see it, it's too small.
Can you see it?
I don't know, but
try to see it, because it does. I was going to bring that picture. I was going to bring that because
when you see this a little louder, yeah, there it is.
Can you see it?
Yeah, you can
right
see
there,
it.
This one right here.
Right. There it is.
That was during Stuntman.
Stuntman, yeah. Now,
Richard Rush's Stuntman.
Since we lost him yesterday, and
I just couldn't believe that. I just couldn't believe it. I don't know. He should have won an Academy Award.
Oh, many times.
He really should have, and it killed him. It really did. It really hurt his feelings. I mean, we sat in his dressing room one time. He was like, well, he was supposed to, he had all these problems. He had all kinds of operations. He had scars all over his body. From he had pancreas. He had all these problems. Right. And nothing stopped him. He was drinking, and he was doing coke, and he was doing everything there is to do, everything bad. And you know, I mean, stuntman. I'm trying to think what year that was. I mean, my kid was about 8 years old, and he's like 42 now. So it was a long time ago.
Long time ago, yeah. Steve Rail's back.
It was like a really long time ago. Yeah, Steve Railsback was just.
But I
great
mean,
in that.
we get back to Peter. I mean, what was it like? I mean, this man. You're right. He should have won an Academy
He
Award.
should have
every
won
time.
an Academy Award so
I
many
never
times.
understood that. You're with the Academy, and I mean, you're part of the Academy. What was the mentality about?
Well, you know, we're all stupid there because we vote out of like, and I admit it. You know, it's like if an actor's been mean to me or snubbed me or been mean to me, I don't care how great they are, I won't vote for them.
Okay,
You know,
that's an honest answer.
you know, I mean, I don't
that.
think I would do that now. I don't do it now, but I have done it in the past.
I mean,
You know, when you're young, you're like stupid.
when he did the one, especially, I mean, there wasn't a film that I didn't see that he shouldn't have not have won an Academy Award for.
I know it.
Everything he
I
did
know.
was brilliant.
I know, and it really bothered him too. We were all sitting together in his trailer, and he was like he was talking about Richard Burton,
Right.
and you know, it's like I'm from Sioux City, Iowa, and it's like just getting out of Sioux City and starting to, you know, getting my first unemployment check. I mean, I really thought I was big time. I mean, I really figured I had made it. I had won my Academy Award just walking down the street thinking I'm an actor and I make my living acting and nobody can make me go do anything else because I can collect unemployment now, you know, and I can go out for roles and I can go do what I want to do. And here's this man who is so talented and so brilliant, and he is like comparing his career to Richard Burton, who married Elizabeth Taylor,
Right.
who was like the biggest star of all time. I mean, because she was a child actress first, and we
Right.
all just adored and loved her. And then she grew up, and then that whole thing that she did with Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher, and then from that the paparazzi and the press were around her constantly her entire life. And for him to be upset that Richard Burton has gotten more awards than him or anything like that, it was like crazy. You know, don't you? I mean, I said, gosh, Peter, don't you know how talented you are? Don't you know that doesn't make any difference? And he said, and he just kind of shook his head. You know, it really. I said, you were never married to Elizabeth Taylor. You know, I mean. And that was like during the Richard Burton thing. He was like very jealous of him. You know, I don't know how he felt after Richard Burton died. You know, it's like.
But they were friends.
Crazy.
They were competitors too. I mean,
Yeah, they.
I mean, that group. It was Peter. I mean, not Peter Sellers. I mean, Richard Burton.
There was
and
Richard Burton and there were a couple.
Peter O'Toole. Yeah, there was
Peter O'Toole, and then there was that Richard Harris also.
Richard Harris.
Yeah,
those
and
three.
they were all like boozers and ladies' men, and you know they were all out of their minds. And he was out of his mind. I mean, he was. But you know something? When he was on the set, he would come in with a performer. He would come in, and he came in costume. He came in the costume he was supposed to be wearing, and he came in with this interesting
character
that was like totally different than what he played in The Stuntman.
Oh, really?
Because in The Stuntman, he sort of did Lion and Winter again.
Oh.
You know, I mean, even down to the tunics and stuff. And it's like he'd do this magical thing, and then the director would like come and tell him what to do and everything. He didn't argue. He didn't. If the director told him to do it under a table, he'd do it under a table. He never stood up for himself. He never said, "Well, I've read this script and I feel it should be like this." I mean, I've worked with a lot of directors and I've done this and I've done that. He never stood up for himself at all.
Really?
No, he would just do anything anybody said. And it's like finally, I think his little girlfriend at the time said, you know, Richard Rush is the director. Why don't you wear something that Richard Rush would wear? Let's get the same shirt and let's get the same pants and let you come on. Because he was dressing him in tunics, you know. He was like doing Lion and Winter pretty much. And he came in and he came in with this new wardrobe on, And Richard said, well, he said, nobody would dress like that. And Peter said, look at you. You took him over to the mirror and said, look, you're the director of this film. Look at the way you're dressed. And it was like, yeah. But he put him back in the tunics,
Wow, that's good. Nobody would dress like this. There he was, dressed like that.
I know. That's crazy. But, directors have a right to, they see their film a certain way and they want a performance a certain way. And, every if, the, and but, sometimes Richard would say, I like the way you took a breath on before you said the. It was like, talk about killing spontaneity. But,
Right.
You just have to rise above it and get it back and get it in there and do it anyway,
Really,
and I,
yeah.
I really learned a lot about discipline from Peter.
I was going to say, what did you get out of it?
Well, I really felt like, because I used to argue with directors, and I'd say, well, let me just try it my way one time, and then I'll do anything you want. Just like one time, let me do it. Let me just do it for you one time. I'd beg them. I'd bribe them. I'd bring them presents. I'd bring them a bottle of Cristal champagne. I would do anything to let them see what I've worked on. Peter wasn't like that. He just, he'd come in and we'd do a rehearsal, and then the director would come over and talk to him, and then all of a sudden, he was, I expected, what was the gal's name in Lion and Winter to walk around the corner?
Katharine Hepburn.
Katharine Hepburn. I expected her to show up any minute. But he was wonderful, and I thought, golly, if Peter O'Toole will, do anything a director said, I certainly should. And I felt kind of guilty, and I felt kind of bad about my being so outspoken and stuff.
What did it feel like the first time you saw him come on the set?
Oh.
You know you were going to work with him.
Well, I had just seen one of the Lawrence of Arabia, and so I was pretty much taken with him. And he didn't let you down. He just swept into the room. It was incredible. He was incredible. It was like his hair was flowing. It was like, it's like he was like just absolutely magical. And I had some stuff on my head. I was wearing some jewelry. And he was looking at my jewelry and telling me how much he liked it and all of this. And he says, oh, it looks like it's an antique and this, that, and the other. And I had gotten him over at, I'd gotten him over at May Company or something for like $10 it was crap. He was admiring her on my chest, and I made the big mistake of just saying, well, that was like $10 and it never belonged to any. I was just honest, which I shouldn't have done, because he kind of like thought, where, who is this,
Really?
Yeah, he kind of like, I think I disappointed him a little bit.
Did he sit with the crew when you ate? And
Oh, yeah.
Like hang out with the crew?
No, he was very, very down to earth. He did not have an entourage around like a lot of actors have their entourage. And he's very helpful. And he'd sit and wait, and he would like do everybody's dialogue. If somebody had dialogue, he was there for them.
Really?
Yeah, he was not at all. He didn't at all play. I'm
a movie star.
I'm a movie star, and you are nothing. And get out of my chair. He never did any of those things.
My favorite year, I want to say, I'm a movie star, not an actor. I love that line.
Oh, that was his real personality.
Yeah, I bet you.
That was really him. That was really him. And you know something? There was a company that contacted me, and they said, we want to get this script of Peter O'Toole. It's a TV series, and he can do anything he wants. So there was a big party up at Richard Rush's, and I think it was, I don't know, there was a Christmas party, or it was a Halloween party. But I went up there and I said, Peter, this is a script and they want you to do it and it's TV. And he just laughed at me. He laughed at me and he said, oh, please, Sharon, go away. He just, but it would have been great if he had done, everybody would have gotten a taste of him, because it was like, really, the script was very much, it was that character.
Yeah.
It was that character, and he could have done anything. He could have been directing, he would have like had such a ball with that, but he
Do you think so?
kind of looked down on TV. Yeah, he looked down on TV.
He came from the, listen, all the great theater that he did.
I know.
You know,
I
with
know
Olivier
I
and
know.
Gilgood and
We should never look down on anything.
I don't know if he looked down. Well, back then TV wasn't that.
Well, he
You
was
know.
still playing movie star. He still.
And there was a lot of work to do TV.
Yeah, that's true. And when he did Stuntman, he was not in the best of health then.
Okay, maybe so.
But you know, you would never know it. You would never know it. It was the wardrobe gals were like gossiping and saying, "Oh, he's got so many scars all over his, you know, his stomach. He's got all these scars, and he's so thin, and you know, all of this kind of stuff." But it didn't stop him. You know?
No, well, once
and that was like
actually-
what was that like? At least 20 years ago. You know,
Easy.
it was like a long time ago.
Easy. So he was in his 60s
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, at 81, I thought he was even a little bit older than that, but the
I know.
life that
Well,
he
you
led.
know, he really, he burnt, you know, both ends of the
Oh,
candle.
that's what I'm
you know,
saying.
all the time.
He was
And
lucky to make it
I
this
cannot
long.
see, I can't see him ever stopping doing that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he had a little flask that he carried with him, and he drank this special, you know, something liquor that, you know, he always had that on him too. You know, he'd pass that around to everybody.
He was my
shared,
favorite
like,
actor, though.
Oh,
I'm
he was.
so glad to
he
hear
was.
that about
He
him.
was a wonderful human being, and he loved women, and he was so kind and so nice, and he and Barbara Hershey had a very special relationship on the film, and Stephen Railsback also. He was so helpful and was so there for everyone. He really was, and he should have won. He should have won. He should have won Academy Award. He should have won. But you know, it's like.
I thought Line in the
Oh.
Winter, he was really great in that. And
Laurence Olivier, of course.
Well, of course.
Lawrence of Olivier. Lawrence of Arabia.
yeah,
Oh.
everything that he did. He did a comedy, I remember, about a thief with Audrey Hepburn.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, everything he did. The man was just brilliant when he played the torpedo. It was Captain something. Oh God! When he put the torpedo into the German boat, I forget. The audience will know who it is. I mean, his performances were just.
They were outstanding.
It really was. That whole Richard Burton, Richard Harris, they were all just brilliant actors, and
Yeah, they were.
Gilgood,
Yeah, they were.
all of them. And Jane Fontaine went too. We lost her. Now she was what, 90 something.
Really?
Joan Fontaine,
Oh, yeah.
and she just
Joan
passed away.
Fontaine. She
You
was
know.
she was the gal's sister that was in
Right.
oh that
Yeah.
famous movie with Vivian Lee
Yeah,
and
right. Gone
with
with
the
the
little
Wind.
the Gone with Wind. What was the little
Olivia de Havilland.
Olivia de Havilland? She
Was
was
his
her
sister.
sister, right?
Right.
And they both won Academy.
Right.
No,
No.
I think she won an Academy Award, and Joan Fontaine huffed out when her sister won. They were both up one year,
Oh,
and when her sister won, she got up and left.
really?
Yeah.
Talk about sister rivalry.
Yeah.
But that
Doesn't
incredible.
No.
And then what's his name? The one that played Jack. Oh God, he was 81 too. Oh, well, I forgot his name, but he went
Can
in.
you remember the movie?
That's who it was called, Jack
It
something.
was called Jack.
No, it's oh.
Doesn't that make you upset when it's just right on the tip of your tongue and you
know
can't
what?
think
I
of
see
it?
him with
Oh,
the,
I know.
with that hat he wore and everything.
Oh, you mean it was a cartoon kind of
No,
thing?
no. He wore a hat and it was a Western. And he was 81 when he died too.
Eli Wallach?
No, Eli Wallach is 90.
He's still alive,
Yeah,
right?
he's 96, it's 97 now.
You know who I talked to last night was Mamie Van Doren.
Oh, yes, I read that out.
I know. I was just so impressed. We got in touch. You know, so she lived in Sioux City, Iowa for a while.
Really?
Yeah, because I've got my book is Hollywood Princess from Sioux City, Iowa, and she was naming the streets. She lived in like 4 different places there. Like I don't know. I mean, her mom and dad moved around a lot in Sioux City, and then they came out to California.
Wow.
And she's just 80. You know, everybody thinks she's a lot older than that, and she's not. She said, I was born in 1933, but everybody thinks I was older.
Yeah, well, I
And
feel
you know
about
something?
that, yeah.
It's amazing because I'll tell you something. You know, her hair, when you're like standing next to her, she has dark roots. I mean, she's the platinum blonde and she bleaches her hair like we all of us
yeah.
blondes do, because we'd all have light brown hair. And she has brown roots. She does not have one bit of gray in her roots.
Really?
None.
That's
None.
amazing.
She's just so healthy and
Healthy.
everything. She really is healthy. And on Facebook, she went down to the beach last night because it was a full moon, and she took photographs of her. It was like, she says it was like daylight down there. And she has this new Apple, I guess, and she was taking pictures of herself with the moon in the background and on the rocks and all this, and they're very artistic and like really nice. And she's starting to write another book. And I just sent her I just sent it to her. I just sent it, like I sent her a version that had mistakes and stuff like in it.
Right.
Because I don't have any of these books.
But you'll be getting it, and you got a lot of.
But see, Shirley Jones signed it.
Signed it.
And Mamie Van Doren and Terry Moore, who's written a bunch of books.
Yeah.
And I worked with her. She's a great. All these gals are just really sweethearts.
Now, some of the stories
Really
in here,
sweethearts.
if you could, a synopsis of one story right now, which one would you pick out to tell the audience?
Well,
if you were on, say, Johnny Carson.
well, you know something? I think my life has really been a gift, because I should have died when I was 14 years old. And then when I had my son, I had an embolism and my heart stopped for 4.5 minutes, and I should have died then. And then when I was raped in Fiji, I really
Is this
did.
in the book?
Yeah, it broke my spirit. I mean, I died then. And this book helped me. I mean, I don't know how many people have died 3 times in their lives, but that's like one unique thing. And then picking it up and going on and living and being happy and not being bitter and not being, upset or screwed up over it.
The cover on here is great. You want to tell the audience who took that photo?
Oh, Steve McQueen took this picture of me. And you can see a bunch of photographers back there. They're really taking pictures of him. It looks like they're taking pictures of me, right?
Right.
But they're really taking pictures of the person who's taking pictures, which is Steve.
That's a great backstory.
Oh, yeah. And also, the affairs that I had in my life were just like really wonderful. And, being from Sioux City, I was a fan also. I was pretty much I guess we're all fans.
Now, what is Sioux City, Iowa like? Have you been back there lately?
Yeah, I went back after 40 years. I went back there to get the photographs and stuff. My mom had all these photographs and stuff, and I had to get them from her. Because when I went to Fiji, I had all the photographs, but I lost them in Fiji when I ran from Fiji for my life. So I went back there, and it was just really it was like they're making it. They're making it better. Number one, the stockyards doesn't smell there anymore because they took the stockyards away.
Oh.
Because I got back half of my memory. I was in Wisconsin on a PA tour for the Young and the Restless, and I said, well, what do I do in Wisconsin? They said, well, you go visit the Green Bay Packers and you get a sweatshirt, and you go get some cheese. You buy some cheese. So I went out to this farm. And, I milked a cow and I did the publicity kind of stuff, but that smell, and all of a sudden, all these memories about Sioux City, Iowa came rushing back, because just before it would rain, you'd smell this really stinky smell. It'd just be in the air everywhere. And that is no longer there in Sioux City. And there was the Orpheum Theater. It's so funny because Mamie Van Doren, she says, remember the Orpheum Theater? And she named 2 other theaters. I said, well, I remember the Orpheum Theater, but I don't remember the other 2. I said, Mamie, you've got such a memory. You are so incredible. But the Orpheum Theater was this old theater there, and they totally redid it. So, and they've got a museum there, and they've done all kinds of magical things. It looks like a little tourist spot now.
They must have been really glad to see you there.
Well, I don't know. I kind of came in and out.
Well, you didn't let. I was just thinking, what if you went there
Nobody's living there anymore. Everybody
wow.
moved out. You know, it's like all my friends. I mean, I was hoping to run into some friends. I went out to this one place. There was this girl named Sharon Ariosa who was in school with me, and she was she was working at this place where they have gambling over on the other, because Sioux City was dry, but you go to South Sioux City to like see pornographic films and to buy liquor and to buy margarine and all this kind of stuff, you know, because
Pornographic film and margarine. That sounds interesting.
well, that's what because you couldn't buy it in Iowa. You couldn't buy it now. You had to go across the border, you know. So this Sharon Ariosa, she works at this bar over there, and they have gambling, and my mom likes to go over there and do the slot machines, I guess. So.
Really?
And I went over there and I waited. I waited a couple hours, but she was in some kind of a meeting, so I didn't get to see her.
Did Mamie ever tell you why she was living in Sioux City?
Well, you know something? She may have, but I was so excited about talking to her and everything that I kind of like forgot to listen to like everything, I guess.
Well, you two, you know.
She says we're sisters. She says we are sisters. You know, when I met her like a couple of weeks ago at this birthday party, and I immediately liked her. I mean, I just loved her to pieces. Yeah. She okay, 80. I mean, everybody thinks she's like older than she is. She was born in 1933, and that makes her 80, I guess. I wish I knew what her sign was, but I don't know what it is. And she's just so full of life, and she's fun to be around. And she's wearing heels that were this high. I took a picture of the shoes she had on. I put it on Facebook. I couldn't believe it. And her skin, you know, her skin is like a person she's not over 40. I mean, she really isn't.
Well, she took care of herself somehow, and then I guess good genes.
But we both had a couple of the same, because she had an affair with Steve McQueen, and I did, and Jack Palance is another one. So we were sitting and talking about guys in our lives, you know. Did you have this one? Did you have that one? What did you think of him, or what did you think of him?
Well, see, and early before off camera, when you were talking about sex addicts, I mean, that doesn't make you a sex addict. I mean. Back then, that was what it was all about, wasn't it?
Well, you know, girls were, you know, you're not supposed, if you were like married, you're not supposed to cheat on your husband, you know.
But
if you're
in the
going,
industry,
you know,
it was accepted, wasn't it?
No, because when she was with Jack Palance, she was like 20 years old, and she said if the studio had found out, she would have been out on her can. She said if they had found out what was going on at that time.
Really?
Jack Palance wouldn't have been out on his can, but she might have been.
Oh, she was just starting out.
She was just starting out, yeah.
Well, I can see that, but I mean, it's
it's
still
always been harder for girls. Girls are always labeled as, oh, she's a whore, you know, she's a cheap chippy, you know, she's a slut, you know. Where a guy, he's like, well, he's a man, you know.
A man,
yeah. He's a man's man.
It's always been that way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why when you hear women talk about how open they are, I appreciate that, because it makes me understand that, yes, women do. Because
you guys have to be doing it with somebody.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know.
Great point. That's a great point.
You know, guys are like, oh, he's had this woman after that woman after this woman after this. Well, it's like, there's women, I mean, you can't do it without us. I guess you can, but.
Well, you know, it's not as much fun. And it's over much quicker.
You know just how to do it, right? Oh, golly. I saw a movie that reminded me of you. It's called Don John. It is about a kid who's watching porno films all the time and jacking off, but it's like so wonderful. It's just like it's just the.
Is that the one with Tony Danza?
Oh yes, he's in it. He's wonderful.
Plays the father. Yeah.
Oh, he's just really. It's really a funny movie. I really had a good time watching it. I watched Mr. Phillips Saving Mr. Banks last night.
Let's talk about that. We're going to stop now because we're just about out of time there. I think it's going to go so.
Oh, listen. I guess you have to go to Amazon.com. Amazon.com. And it's on Kindle too, I think.
Kindle, move the book a little. You can see where it is, so just move.
Oh, I see.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it. Amazon.com. I can't believe they got it out so fast.